Audio on है? Right. So hello everyone, good evening. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 4th of October 2023. In today's newspaper analysis we are going to cover some important topics. Like we are going to discuss about Nobel Prize also, and today there was a topic let's say from Nobel Prize in Physics. Yesterday there was topic related to Nobel Prize in Physiology or Nobel Prize in Medicine. And so we are going to discuss about them, and we are going to take a topic from the mapping section also. So there are many topics that we are going to cover today. So let us quickly see the list of articles that we are going to cover. So these are the list of articles that we will be covering in today's newspaper discussion, right? So like one mapping topic and 9 other additional topics. So in all we are going to cover about 10 topics today. So this is the first topic that we will cover. It's a mapping topic. Name of the topic is Andes Mountains. Okay. So we are going to understand about Andes mountain ranges. So where are these mountains located? The Andes mountain ranges is located in the western portion of South America. So it ranges from the northern part of South America till the southern part of South America. Means this is the longest chain of mountains in the world. Andes mountain is the longest chain of mountain in the world. It spans over the entire continent. Okay, I mean like from northern portion of South America till southern portion of South America. The Andes mountain passes through seven states, 7 countries in South America. So we have earlier discussed that there are 12 countries, right? 12 countries or 12 sovereign states in South America, and out of those 12 countries, 7 countries lie along this particular line in the western margin. Okay, 7 countries lie, and this Andes mountain passes through all the 7 countries. So this is the thing. On one side of South America, this side we have Atlantic Ocean, and on the other side we have Pacific Ocean. Okay, so Atlantic Ocean on the right side, Pacific Ocean on the western side, right? So this is the thing. So how many countries it passes through? 7 countries. The Andes mountain passes through 7 countries in South America. So what are those countries? One of the countries, Venezuela. So over here we can see, right, this is Venezuela. So this is where Venezuela is located. So Venezuela is the first country. After Venezuela we have second country to be Colombia. Okay, so this is the second country, Colombia. It passes through Colombia also. Then we have Ecuador. Ecuador, this is the third country. Like recently we have seen map of Ecuador also, because we have located what? We have located the some islands, the islands that are associated with Darwin's theory of natural selection. What island? Okay, so those islands are located in the west of Ecuador. Okay, so archipelago. Which archipelago? Okay, so like yesterday or day before yesterday we discussed. So this is the third country, Ecuador. Then we have Peru. Peru is the fourth country. Then we have Chile, the fifth country. Okay, Chile. Then we have, let's say, Bolivia. Bolivia is another country. So Bolivia will be the fifth, and this will be the sixth. And we have then Argentina. So these are the 7 countries through which the Andes mountain pass. Okay, so it is important for us to remember that this is the largest chain of mountains, largest mountain range in the world. Okay, it ranges from north portion of South America till southern portion of South America. It ranges, let's say, throughout the South American continent. It passes through 7 countries, right? Andes mountains. So this is important. So I just wanted to cover these mountains, mountain ranges. And also in South America we have a kind of river which is the largest river of the world, Amazon river basin. This is largest but not the longest. Longest river is Nile river. Okay, largest river is this Amazon river. So Amazon is the largest, Nile river is the second largest, right? And after then we have Yangtze river that originates in China, right? Then we have Mississippi river, and after then there is another river. Okay, so river wise this is the largest river, but Nile is the longest, and like if this is largest, Nile is the second largest, and Nile is the longest and this is the second longest, like that river wise. Okay, if you identify top 5 rivers of the world, so it will come that way. Okay, but the Andes mountain is the largest let's say chain of mountains. Okay, it's a largest mountain range in the world. Okay, so this is important. I mean, like we need to do one mapping, because like this South America has been in news for so many reasons, right? So many reasons this time, so that's why we are exploring the South America a bit more. Okay, so the name of the island was Galapagos Island. We have recently done this Galapagos Island, like we have so one on Sunday a topic came, right, related to Darwin's theory of evolution. So they have mentioned about finches, Darwin finches, and they have mentioned about Galapagos Island. So it is to the western portion of Ecuador, around 1000 kilometers to the west of Ecuador. So it lies in this particular ocean, which is Pacific Ocean. Okay, it lies in the Pacific Ocean. So we discussed about it. Sometimes let's say like we tend to forget it, but it's important that we remember also. Now we are going to talk about the first topic of the day. This topic is related to Nobel Prize in Physics, and Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 people together. Okay, so it has been awarded to 3 people. So who are the 3 people? One of the person is this person, like Pierre Agostini, then we have Ferenc Krauss, and then we have N.L. Wheeler. So these are the 3 people who have been together awarded Nobel Prize in Physics. Okay, so these people have been awarded Nobel Prize in Physics for their work in the attosecond physics. Okay, name of the physics is known as attosecond physics. So let us understand about what is attosecond physics, right? So name of the topic is, let us write down, Nobel Prize in Physics. So these people have been awarded Nobel Prize in Physics for their work in what? Attosecond physics. So we need to understand what do we mean by attosecond physics. Okay, this is the name of the physics. I mean, like physics is a broad field of science, and under physics also we have different types of physics. So one type of physics is classified as attosecond physics. So under attosecond physics, what we do, we study the lights. Okay, we study light, and basically what happens in attosecond physics, so we study the behavior of material, like at a very fast pace, at the rate of 10 raised to power minus 18 second. Okay, 10 raised to power minus 18th of second. So this is known as 1 attosecond. Okay, this is known as 1 attosecond. For example, what happens generally, so they use high frequency laser lights. Okay, they use what? Laser lights, and they make the laser beams, right? They make the laser beams to pass through. Let's say like this is the laser beam. They make it to pass through some kind of let's say elements in the sense like atoms / molecules, etc. Okay, they pass this high frequency laser light. Okay, they pass this laser light to atoms and molecules. And then what happens after this laser light actually strikes over here, these atoms and molecules emit electrons. Okay, they emit what? Electrons. Okay, these electrons are emitted at a very fast pace, and then they study about these electrons. They study about, let's say, behavior of these electrons at a very fast rate. Attosecond means like if something is traveling at a very fast rate, so those rates can be measured. Let's say someone is going 3 meter per second, someone is going 10 meter per second. Similarly, something that is moving at attosecond rate, so what they do, they pass laser lights on atoms or molecules, then these atoms or molecules, after striking with laser light, they start emitting electrons, and these electrons have been measured by these people. So all of them were doing, let's say, independent studies. So in this article they have mentioned about a story also, like one of the person was working in one let's say university institute, then another person joined, and then they work together. So like their work has been long back from 1987. So this Dr. L. Wheeler found, explained and refined the principles of producing attosecond light pulses. So what she did, so this person, I mean like this person actually has identified what is attosecond, this person has explained what is attosecond, and this person has refined the principles of producing attosecond light pulses. Okay, how do we generate those light pulses, the light pulses that I have like drawn over here, like laser lights, okay, attosecond lights. So she has explained what is attosecond, like how it is generated, and she has produced also. Then electrons in matter move very fast, interacting on the order of a few hundred of attoseconds. Okay, so inside the matter, the atoms are moving at a very fast pace, and using attosecond laser lights, they are able to identify, they are able to measure electrons at that rate. Okay, so attosecond physics deals with ways to capture these interactions. I mean like, attosecond physics talks about how these interactions are happening. They study about those interactions. And so these study of these interactions will help the scientist in a future date, like in developing some new ways of understanding the electronics. For example, like with the passing time, the electronics, the gadgets are becoming smaller and smaller. So it is more important for scientists to study the things at a very minute scale, at a very low scale. I mean like some people have done a study long back, so that's why today we have, let's say like those devices, gadgets, and these people are doing a study at a still very let's say like a small scale. So this is going to do benefit for the society at a later point of time. So this is about one person, this lady, Annie L. Wheeler. Okay, so this person actually, she has, let's say, told about what is attosecond. She has generated laser pulses at attosecond rate. Then in 2001, she started working in 1987. In 2001, Dr. Agostini, okay, Dr. Agostini, this person produced a series of pulses using these principles, each of 250 attosecond duration. Okay, so she has initially built that field, she has produced electrons, and this person has produced more number of pulses. Then in 2000, also in 2001, Dr. Kauser, so this person, Dr. Kauser and company isolated a single pulse of 650 attosecond duration. So using this, they measured the kinetic energy of a bunch of electrons emitted by krypton atom. Okay, so like krypton, xenon, radon, so these are kind of radioactive atoms, we can say. So using these krypton atoms, they have measured the kinetic energy. Kinetic energy means energy possessed by a body when it is in moving. Okay, so if something is moving, let's say like if I talk about, let's say this ball, it is moving in this direction. If mass of the ball is m, so the energy or kinetic energy of this body will be half m v square, like that. V is the velocity of the body. Okay, V is the velocity of the body, like that. So this is how we calculate the kinetic energy of a body in case of big bodies. But kinetic energy of a smaller body may be calculated using some other formula. Okay, because like formula also changes from scale to scale. Okay, that's the way. So they have calculated kinetic energy. So like they have initiated work long back, and it is still a growing field. Okay, so these people have been awarded Nobel Prize. Why they have awarded? They have awarded that this particular field has potential of doing things. And last year also in 2020, Nobel Prize in Physics went to for the for doing work in the field of this particular thing, what we say, a kind of physics, right, at a very small scale. I mean, like, you know, they dealt with this particular thing. I mean, like, you know, interaction of small matters with kind of light pulses. So there is a new emerging field. That concept is not coming in mind, but I have taught that thing in detail in science and technology class. Okay, so that has been there for a long period of time. I mean, like, you know, it's a new field of physics altogether. Okay, so there they have awarded this particular thing, Nobel Prize in Physics. And on similar domain, Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded in 2012 also, 10 years back. So development is happening. So we need to understand that attosecond physics is a new domain of physics, where they are studying the movement of electrons, they are studying the energy of electrons at a very faster rate, right, when they are moving at a very faster rate. That's the thing. So now let us solve a question based on this. It says, consider the following statements. So one of the statements says, attosecond pulses can be used to create new materials with the unique properties, such as ultra fast conductors and optical switches. Okay, so it can be basically, like, you know, these are pulses, and these pulses can be used to create new materials. I mean, like, these are not only pulses, because using these pulses they will be emitting electrons, and these electrons can act as super fast conductors also. So they have, that's where they have written, so conductors and optical switches. Okay, then we have another topic. It says, Nobel Prize 2023 for physics has been awarded for the experiment of generating attosecond pulses for the study of electron dynamics in matter. Okay, this is also right. So both these statements are right. Correct answer is option C. So with this, we will now move to another topic. So this is the explanation. You can go through it in your free time. Then we have another topic. This topic is again important. So what is this topic? It says the triumph of Vachathi over a hostile state. Now this topic is important because in this topic they have talked about how a state can organize atrocities against its own people. Okay, so basically in this article, I am going to write the name of the article and quickly we will understand. This article says, the word Vachathi that they have mentioned, it's the name of a place. Okay, the triumph of Vachathi over a hostile state. The triumph of Vachathi over a hostile state. So in this article they have, let's say, referred to a recent judgment, okay, recent High Court judgment of High Court of, let's say, Madras, okay. I think Madras High Court they have mentioned. So they have mentioned about Madras High Court judgment related to Vachathi, related to people of Vachathi. So what has happened, like in the state of this Tamil Nadu, I think, right? So in this particular state, what has happened long back, right? So they have mentioned about a story of Tamil Nadu. So in 1980 or 1992 basically, so they have mentioned like name of the year, that in 1992 there were atrocities, right, over the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people. So scheduled tribe people, they were basically forest dwellers. So these forest dweller people, I mean, like what has happened, these are forest dwellers. So on a fine day, what happened, like people in uniform, right, people in uniform, those people who were part of state police and part of, let's say, forest police officers and all. So they have come to this particular location which is known as Vachathi, okay, this location, and then they have, let's say, tortured the people over there. Okay, huge number of people in uniform came, they have tortured, they have raped women, they have, let's say, like, you know, they have done so many things, atrocities over men and women in that particular location. They have killed also many people. And so why they came and they did so? Because I think, like, they have mentioned, right, they have mentioned that these people are smugglers and they have gone there to, let's say, like, to unearth the smuggling activity over there. But like, these people were forest dwellers, they were native people from that place, and for, let's say, for more than 10 years, these people were not able to get even a single FIR registered. And this thing has happened in a manner that, like, one police officer did something wrong with a single citizen. It was made to look like that, but like, it was a mass atrocity that was conducted by the authorities, like, on its own people. So recently the Madras High Court has held people accountable. Why? They said that if policemen at lower level, they have gone there, they have done the atrocities, they might have done under the command of their senior authority. And if they have done it under the command of their senior authority, so people senior to them, they must also be knowing. The IAS officer in the district must be knowing. The chief secretary of the state must be knowing. But like, all of them have, let's say, like, have thought of doing rafa dafa of the case, in the sense the Madras High Court has said. So they have said that, like, if state itself does some wrong to its own people, like, are there any legal provisions to protect the people, right? So they say that recently the like, central government of India has come up with some kind of criminal laws, right? So these criminal laws, like, earlier also I have mentioned, one of them is known as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So it seeks to replace the Indian Penal Code. Then we have Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, which seeks to replace the Criminal Procedure Code. We have Bharatiya Sakshya, that seeks to replace the Indian Evidence Act. So these three, let's say, legislations that they have come, so they want to decolonize the Indian criminal justice system. However, they say that, like, they seeks to decolonize, they have identified some new crimes also, but still in those new crimes, they have not mentioned anything that, like, the case when state itself does atrocity against people. Means, like, they have mentioned that if a person does anything wrong against the state, if a person does anything wrong against some other people, so that constitutes crime. But what happens if a state itself does, let's say, like, some atrocities against the people? Are there legal provisions? So they say there is lack of legal provisions in India, in Indian laws. So that's why the Madras High Court has looked into some of the conventions, some of the laws that are in place that are part of international law. So in this article, they have mentioned about those laws also, okay, those laws. So they have said, in line with the principle 24 of the UN Basic Principle on the Use of Force and Firearms by Law Enforcement Officials. So I'll write it down. So they have mentioned about principle 24, okay, principle 24 of the, okay, principle 24 of the United Nations Basic Principles on the Use of Force, okay, UN Basic Principles on the Use of Force, UN Basic Principle on the Use of Force and Firearms by Law Enforcement Officials, and Firearms by Law Enforcement Officials. So the Madras High Court has referred to this one. They said that this principle, right, in line with the principle 24 of the UN Basic Principle on the Use of Force and Firearms by the Law Enforcement Officials, law enforcement agencies must adopt measures to ensure that superior officers are held responsible if they know or should have known that officials under their command are resorting or have resorted to violation of human rights, and they did not take measures to prevent or report such use. Means the those officials, those, let's say, like law enforcement officials who have committed the atrocities against people, so their immediate superior must be knowing about it. And if they knew about it, like what they have done, like did they do take any action to stop that atrocity for happening? So they say, like, you know, people who are in command, they should be penalized for their inaction, or they should be penalized for their involvement into these activities. Okay. So in numerous judgments in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in South America has established that factors relevant to fix the responsibility of superiors are knowledge of risk that the state officials and the duty to know the existence of real and immediate risk to life and or physical integrity. So they have mentioned basically that the officials, right, officials who are in command, so they must be having knowledge of this particular thing. And related to this, there are precedents in international law. They have mentioned precedents means something that has been already decided by some courts already, right? So they say there are precedents in international law wherein in South America, right, in South America they have established that chain of commands, those people who are in the commanding authority, so they must be having the knowledge of risk that is associated with the use of firearms by subordinates to them. And if they have the knowledge to it, so these people are more responsible. These people are responsible and they should be held liable. So the thing is, in this article, the author has talked about, right, the triumph of Vachathi over a hostile state. So the people who were there in Vachathi, I mean, like, you know, on them atrocities has happened on them, like, you know, people have like 18 of the women have been raped, and one of the women was pregnant also, and none of them got any justice because the entire state machinery was involved into it. So recently the Madras High Court has held them liable, held the officials liable, and they have said that since India does not have a proper legal mechanism to protect the rights of the STs, right? So in this article they have mentioned that, like, you know, there was an officer, I mean, like, he tried his best to get this particular thing notified. He has also notified the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, but that National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, they did not take any action. Only report was available. So the Madras High Court has referred to that report also. Okay, that report, that, like, you know, this report talks about all these things. So they have said that, like, you know, these people are, so there are other principles also that they have talked about. So prevention of communal and targeted violence, access to justice and repatriation bill. So there was a bill that has been initiated by the government related to this aspect, but that bill has also lapsed. What is the name of that bill? It is Prevention of Communal and Targeted Violence, Access to Justice and Repatriation Bill. Okay, so I'll write down this bill which has lapsed. This is very important. Why? Because we have seen in numerous occasions that, like, you know, state government itself is let's say, like, you know, they are responsible for it, and they take side of the law enforcement authorities. They command the law enforcement authorities to do atrocities against the minorities. Minorities means people who are less in population or people who are less educated. For example, if we talk about in the state of Assam, this has happened. In the state of Haryana, this has recently happened. There are many cases where, like, you know, state organized thing is done. So for that there is no legal provision which is there. I mean, like, although individual liabilities can be fixed, the courts are free to, let's say, interpret the thing in a manner and apply the laws, like, you know, from different provisions. However, there should be a single unified law that should talk about, right, the use of force and firearms by law enforcement officials. For example, if we talk about police officers, so police officers are told that, like, if the criminal is running away from you, you can use firearms, you can, let's say, like, you know, use your gun also, but the thing is, like, first you need to target his leg. But recently we have seen judicial killings happen, let's say, by the police official. They give it the name of encounters, but the thing is, like, it is actually not encounter, and it has been established also in courts of law in many cases. So these are the things. So let us talk about this. It says prevention of communal and targeted violence. Prevention of communal and targeted violence. Prevention of communal and targeted violence, access to justice and reparations bill. Okay, it says access to justice and reparations. Okay, so this reparation word is used by Mr. Shashi Tharoor many times. Reparation bill. So they say this particular bill has lapsed. I mean, like, this particular bill has been introduced in the parliament, but the thing is it has not been passed through the parliament, so it has lapsed. So this bill could have, let's say, resorted to giving some kind of justice to the people. So in this article, the author herself is a lawyer, and that author has praised the judiciary for the action that they have said, for the strong word that they have said, right? And they have made the state to be liable on this. Okay, so at that point of time, Jayalalitha was the chief minister in that state. So they have mentioned about this thing. So they say that state-backed violence is anathema in a democratic republic, and the case has only highlighted the need to amend the criminal law to fix command responsibility and ensure stringent penalty. So she says that the criminal law that, like, we have introduced, they also need to introduce this particular thing so that we can fix the responsibility on the people, and also we can ensure a stringent penalty on those people who are doing such kind of activities. Okay, so it is gross violation of the human rights. Okay, so that's why they have referred to some of the some of the cases that are outside India. For example, they have mentioned about UN basic principle, right, on the use of firearms. They have talked about a case from South America. They have talked about many other cases also. So after reading these articles, we get a kind of perspective. We understand, how command liability can be ensured. So it says there is an absence of command liability. Like in India, we do not have command liability, this thing. Although there are people in hierarchy, but do we put them accountable? Do we make them accountable in a chain of hierarchy? So the court of law says about this particular thing. Okay. So in this article, they have talked about the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act also. And they have talked about Indian Penal Code. So I hope you understood the case. So with this, we will talk about a question. So you can try to solve this question. It says, what are the ethical and practical challenges in balancing the sovereignty of nations with the responsibility to protect population from state-backed violence under the responsibility to protect principle? Okay. So when we talk about a democratic society, when we talk about a democratic country, so the thing is, in democracy, this is the responsibility on the state enforcement authorities. This is the responsibility of the state to protect the rights of its citizens. This is the responsibility of the state. And if a state fails to protect the rights of the citizens, the state should be made accountable. It should be made liable. And in case when a state is not only failing, but a state itself is involved in curtailing the rights of its citizens unlawfully. I would say this was an unlawful act. It was not a legal act. Okay, although these people have firearms, the police personnel, but the act that they have done, it is an unlawful act. So for that, there should be liability on these people. There should be accountability set to these people. So this question is on that thing. Okay, so this principal responsibility to protect is the responsibility of the state enforcement authorities to ensure that people's rights are protected. Okay, so that's the thing. So you need to try to write an answer to this. After writing an answer, you can share your answer with me. Jahidul at lukmaanias.com. Okay. So you can try to write an answer. This answer can be best written by people who have PSI or optional, but other people can also try. Okay, because they understand about power, they understand more about accountability, they understand about different types of powers and all. Okay, so this is another question. It says, using AI for audit techniques. Okay, so this article is related to artificial intelligence. So they have talked about that recently India has been made the head of the supreme audit institutions. Okay, so there is a supreme audit institution, supreme audit, sorry, AUDIT, audit institutions, okay, Supreme Audit Institutions, SAI of, I have written I, SAI of the G20. So India is currently heading this Supreme Audit Institution, and the head of this is the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, the CAG. So his name is Girish Chandra Murmu, okay. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India, it is a constitutional post, right? It is mentioned under article I think 147 to 154. So we need to check it, this article, it is a constitutional post. So this person does audit of the account of the central government, accounts of the state government, accounts of the centrally funded technical institutions, centrally, let's say like central PSUs and all. So this person is now heading the Supreme Audit Institutions of the G20. So the thing is like G20 has recently adopted artificial intelligence for auditing the various things related to it. However, the CAG of India, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, he has told that like, using artificial intelligence for audit purpose does have its own flaws. And this person has mentioned about what flaws it can have. So they say that the data that we are using for artificial intelligence, for example, if we have any kind of AI system, so here we are talking about AI based audit system, okay, we are talking about AI based audit system. So for these system we need some kind of inputs, we need input as data, and in case of G20 the data is coming from multiple sources, okay, data is coming from multiple sources, and in many cases these data, although they are coming from different states, but like these states are also taking data from multiple sources. So the thing is, because of multiplicity of data and because of, let's say, like unavailability of coherent sources of data, so there is a possibility that this AI system may take up some flawed data, and if a flawed data enters into the system, this AI system is going to generate results based on the flawed inputs, okay, and this is going to lead a kind of inaccuracy in the system, okay, it is going to lead in a kind of inaccuracy into the system. So the thing is, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India has warned that like at this point of time, if we use artificial AI based audit tools, there is bound to be, let's say like there is bound to be issues where we can have inaccuracies in the results. So he has highlighted this particular thing. Apart from this, he has also talked about some other factors also that may lead to some kind of, let's say like problems in the AI system. And also in this article they have mentioned about some frameworks that have been adopted internationally for AI audit system, okay. So what are those frameworks? So global organizations have developed many AI auditing frameworks. These includes COVID framework, okay, COBIT, COVID framework for AI audit, the US Government Accountability Office framework, and the COSO ERM framework. So these are some of the frameworks that have been adopted by global organizations, by many countries. So they say like although they have been adopted, but they are in the developmental stage at this point of time. I mean like it is not a fully grown system. So it is still in the test and trial mode. So that's why the Comptroller and Auditor General of India has said that there can be many problems that are associated with this, okay. So like he has mentioned these things. So this also gives us a perspective, okay. And recently related to artificial intelligence, the European Union has come up with its own data, its own policy and law. And this is one of the first set of policies that European Union has come up with for regulating the artificial intelligence. And this law also regulates the ChatGPT. This law regulates the generative AI, okay. It regulates the generative artificial intelligence, okay, generative artificial intelligence. So it puts more watch, more vigil on the generative AI, because generative AI systems are considered to be black boxes, okay, they are considered to be black boxes. Black boxes means once an input goes into it, you cannot modify that input. Means like our input once has gone, that input will be mixing with so many things that it is bound to give inaccuracies in the output. Okay, so this acts as a black box. So they have mentioned this particular thing. Okay,
The name of the law of
name,
European
huh?
EU AI Act.
EU AI Act. Huh. In this article they have not mentioned.
So they have mentioned.
They have mentioned.
Sir,
Huh. Provided the EU AI Act, European Union AI Act. But long back it came also, like there we have discussed about. So they have adopted a kind of this pyramid framework. Pyramid framework means based on risk factors. I mean, like those AI systems that are more risky, for them they have, let's say, like applied more kind of whistle for that are less risky. So they have allowed them to, let's say, operate freely. So they have adopted this framework based on risk models in European Union. So it's a newly done thing. I think, like last year itself I have gone through it, articles based on this. Now we have another topic. It says the trouble with Nobel for mRNA COVID vaccine. So yesterday we read articles related to that, like people have been awarded, two people have been awarded Nobel Prize for their work related to mRNA COVID vaccine. So this person has talked about that what is the trouble with the with this Nobel thing. The thing is, like when we talk about this Nobel Prize for mRNA, this person has like said that although some people have been awarded this Nobel Prize, but there are people who have, let's say, like done their part, who have done their work for development of mRNA thing. However, they have, let's say, like after building the system, they did not get their systems patented in their name for the cause of the world, for the cause of the humanity. So these scientists have, after developing, instead of getting it patented, because patent award also takes time, 2.5 years, 3 years it may take. For example, if you have developed something, if you have innovated something, you need to apply for getting patent rights over it, and so the patent office is going to examine many factors. I mean, like whether someone else has applied, they are going to take their own time. It may take 2.5 to 3 years. But the thing is, like there are people who have worked on COVID-19 vaccines, and these people, instead of getting it patented for their own benefit, because once you develop something, you naturally tend to get it patented. Because if you get patented, you are going to get benefited out of it, because you will get right to produce it on your own, or you can give some other company to produce it and give you the royalty on this. So many scientists have done their work on altruistic basis, means like for the cause of the humanity, for noble purposes. So the thing is, those people have not been awarded Nobel Prize. And these people who have worked initially, they have been awarded. So in this article, the author has highlighted what is the trouble with mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. The author did not say that those people who have been awarded, they did not work. They have worked, they have done their part, they have been awarded rightly. But the thing is, like there are many people who have contributed greatly, but these people have gone unnoticed. These people have been not recognized. Okay. So in this article, the author has given two such examples. Okay. So author has given two examples related to this. Okay. Although I did not highlight all of it. So the author has talked about one specific country also. The one, this Dr. Karib. So in this article, they have given two examples where people have, let's say, after getting this, after developing this, one of the politician has written to the Nobel Prize that, like, these people should be awarded. So these people have been considered. But at the same time, there was a country where, like, people have developed this particular thing, and the leadership has taken a decision that let's do it for the humanity. So they have done it for the cause of humanity, and lot of people have been, let's say, like, lot of people have been saved also for this. And one of the, let's say, like, like for awarding Nobel Prize, they have mentioned some criteria also, right? Some criteria, means like what are those criteria they have mentioned. One of the criteria is, like, whatever invention that you have done, it should be practical so that you can demonstrate it, right? That is one thing. So Nobel Prize are awarded not only for thought, it is awarded for the experimental work that you do. I mean, like any work that you do for which you can demonstrate it using experiments. only that will be awarded Nobel Prize. That is one criteria. Second criteria is, means like, let's say they have 10 applications for in the field of medicine, 10 applications in the field of physiotherapy, which all of them are noble, all of them are like good scientific inventions, but whom they will give preference? They will give preference to one technology that has the potential of benefiting for all mankind, that has the potential of benefiting the human beings, the mankind. So they are going to give that particular invention to be priority. So in this article they have talked about that the development of COVID-19, it has done benefit to all mankind, because there the entire world was shaken. The entire world was, let's say, in a kind of indecision what is to be done. People were losing lives, and this COVID-19 development is one such kind of development that has the potential of benefiting all mankind. So that's why this has been considered. But it does not mean that this was the only invention related to medicine. There may be n number of more applications with the Nobel Committee. Maybe at a later point of time they may consider them also, but presently they have chosen this particular thing. Okay, so this is the thing. So have you understood the concept? So
One thing. Sir, how do mRNA vaccines works?
how do mRNA vaccine? So yesterday we discussed about it. So basically mRNA vaccine, what happens, like they develop a kind of spike protein. So we'll discuss. So basically we need to understand that COVID-19 vaccine, the COVID-19, right? It's a kind of respiratory problem. It's a kind of problem that happens, and it is because of RNA virus, okay? It is because of RNA virus. It is not a DNA virus like that. So it is RNA virus. So to kill RNA virus, we naturally need to have a kind of vaccine that is compatible with this one. Okay, so what happens, like in human being, right? In human being, so let's say like this is a person, a kind of subject. Okay, subject means person. This is a normal human being, and if we infect this particular human being with a foreign material, so that foreign material is called as antigen. What? Antigen. Okay, the foreign material. So which is going to infect this body. Let's say like this RNA virus affects this body. So this body is going to generate some kind of immune response. So antigen is the foreign material that comes. So once an antigen strikes a body, our body has a natural tendency of developing antibody related to it. Antibody which is going to fight against this particular antigen. Okay. So like we have a natural tendency of developing antibody. But the thing is, what happens in human beings, if we are suddenly, let's say, attacked by any antigen that has not been recognized by the body earlier, so it will be difficult for that body to first recognize this antigen and also to develop effective antibody against it. So this COVID-19 vaccine, so COVID-19 virus, so this virus has kind of spike proteins. Okay, let's say like this is the thing. So it has spike proteins like that. Okay, so once they affect the human body, so human body, if it is not initially exposed to any kind of virus, so it will not be able to fight against this particular thing. Means like all of a sudden a kind of attack happened on you and you could not recognize and you fall ill and you may die. But the thing is, this mRNA vaccine, so here we do not use let's say dead viruses, or we do not use weak viruses. So this kind of mRNA, like they develop it in the lab, and after developing in the lab, what they do, they infect a human body with this particular vaccine. A normal human body is infected with this vaccine. Okay, so this vaccine also has something similar to this one, but it is, let's say, of less intensity. So once a person is infected with this one, our body will have a natural tendency of generating antibody, and our body will be generating a kind of spike proteins. This spike protein is going to attack this spike protein, and it is going to make it what, like this impotent or like let's say less effective. So that way this COVID-19 will be done. I mean like so this is the work of mRNA vaccine that happens. Is it understood?
So then it is a kind of preventive care.
It is a kind of preventive care. Okay, so that's why like we give vaccine. Vaccine is like when a person is not affected, so that time we provide vaccine so that our body recognizes this particular foreign antigen. Our body recognizes this kind of foreign material, and then our body has to fight. It's not these things that fight. Our body has to fight, and this thing actually trains the body to generate that kind of weapons against the foreign material. So this way it happens. Okay, so we discussed it yesterday also, but yesterday I did not make any diagram. Okay, so this is the thing. So in this article they have talked about that the triumph of Catalino-Carrico. So these are two scientists, I mean like two scientists have been awarded Nobel Prize in Physiology, Nobel Prize in Medicine. So one of the scientists is Catalino-Carrico and the Weissman. So tells us something important about the world in which science happens and what for all mankind should really mean. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is a normal article, but after reading once, one may not understand it well. Like in the morning I read, so like I had to read it twice to understand the proper context of it. So now let us talk about another topic. This topic says shot in the arm. So Vijay Lal has joined. Good evening. Sir, algorithm technique can be used to select most preferred and best available data in this. Yes, algorithms are generally used in all artificial intelligence system, in all AI systems. We use algorithm. Different kind of algorithm are used in different kind of AI applications. He has written it good. So now shot in the arm. Success of COVID-19 mRNA vaccine picked the Nobel winners this time. So again, this article is related to the previous topic that we have discussed, the Nobel Prize in Medicine. So in this article, they have praised Nobel Prize in Medicine. So they have said that rightly this kind of invention has been awarded for Nobel Prize. Why? Because this Nobel Prize has the potential, like these people has actually saved the humanity, because huge number of people were dying. We were under constant fear that what's going to happen. Although luckily we are still alive, right? But many people have passed, right? Maybe your known person, like I knew many people who have passed away during COVID-19. Like one of my relative and many known people, known in the sense whom I knew. So many known people have passed away during COVID-19. So we have lost our known people, we have lost our relatives during COVID-19. So this is the thing. In this article they have talked about that this Nobel Prize in Medicine has been rightly awarded to those people who have done invention in mRNA vaccine development. Okay, that's the thing. Now again came another topic. We discussed this topic many times also. It says, how has Nagorno-Karabakh standoff ended? So this Nagorno-Karabakh region, it was a kind of conflicting region between two countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia. So the thing is internationally this particular territory, so let us quickly look at the territory also. So this territory, Nagorno-Karabakh, this territory actually is under the international border, inside the international border of this Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan has this territory, I mean this is the territory of Azerbaijan. But this particular region, inside this region, there are people who are ethnically Armenian. Okay, so the thing is the dispute has been happening for long. I mean during 20th century itself, there has been dispute. But after then Armenia and Azerbaijan, both of them has joined what? USSR, Soviet Union. Okay, so both of them had joined Soviet Union. Then Soviet Union, let's say mediated this particular thing. But Soviet Union has also disintegrated in 1991. After the Soviet Union has disintegrated, then what has happened? The issue once again emerged, and there have been issues related to Azerbaijan and Armenia. Earlier, Armenia was being supported by Russia. Okay, Russia was supporting Armenia. So that's why Azerbaijan was not able to do much over here because Russia is a big territory, very big country. So Azerbaijan was not able to do much. But recently what has happened, now Russia itself is in a war with Ukraine. So the thing is like Russia, and also recently the relationship between Armenia and Russia has gone down. Okay, the relation has gone down. So that's why when Azerbaijan thought of, let's say, capturing this particular region, then Russia did not intervene. Russia did not, let's say, play a very active role over here, and it has led to capturing this particular entire territory by Azerbaijan. And those people who were Armenian separatist people, so they have fled from here. They have, let's say, crossed the border and they have come to Armenia. Now, this Armenian government has decided to join International Court of Justice, okay, or International Criminal Court. They have thought of joining International Criminal Court. But International Criminal Court has already issued, let's say, arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin. He is the Russian president. So that's why what has happened, the Vladimir Putin basically, like, you know, if he visits any country who is a member of International Criminal Court, so that country has the responsibility of arresting Vladimir Putin. So in this article they have talked about that, like, you know, what Russia is now going to do. So Russian foreign minister, Russian people say, like, you know, that, like, although it is not fundamentally against Armenia to join International Criminal Court, but the thing is, like, you know, they have wanted that this Armenia should not join it, because if Armenia joins this particular thing, so means like they have talked about that how the relation will happen further, right, on this issue. So this is the thing, okay. So in this article they have mentioned about Armenia and Azerbaijan, Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. We have discussed about it earlier also. Now this topic is very important. This is a topic from economy. So it is an interesting topic for you also, right? You are a person from economy. So it is circular migration, looking at both sides of the debate. This is one of the most important topic. It is important for GS paper 3. It is important for GS paper 3. So let's understand about this topic, circular migration. Name of the topic is, so we will write the short part of the topic, okay. So let's understand what do we mean by circular migration, what are different issues associated with it, okay. So let's say there is a country A, okay, A is a country. There is a country B, okay, this is also a country. So what is the definition of circular migration? If a person, okay, if a person goes from country A to country B and then comes back from country B to country A, then again, so this is one loop, I mean, like, you know, this is one loop. Then again, if he goes from country A to country B and comes back from country B to country A, right, then this will be considered as circular migration, okay, this will be considered as circular migration. This will be considered as circular migration. So generally circular migration happens between two countries. A person goes from one country to country B, then comes back, again goes, then comes back. So internationally this kind of two loop system is recognized as circular migration. But apart from this, in this article they have also talked about what is not considered as circular migration. For example, there are three countries, okay, let's say for example there are three countries, country A, country B, country C, okay. In this case what happens, a person goes from country A to country B and country B to country A, right. So this does one loop. Then he, from country A he goes to country C and comes back to country A. This is again second loop. For country A, it will be considered that this person has done circular migration. Means like country A will consider that this person has done circular migration, but this country B will not treat it to be a circular migration. They will see that it was a short stay. And what is the reason of circular migration? Why do people do circular migration? The reason for circular migration is economic opportunities. Okay, economic opportunities in the sense for employment purposes. Okay, for short term employment purposes, people go from one country to another country to do some job. After staying for some time, they come back to the country of origin. So that is like generally people go for economic reasons. So this is known as this particular thing. And here in this article they have mentioned about criteria also, like how do we define a circular migration to happen, right? What are the conditions of migration? So they have mentioned about those 5 conditions. So what are the conditions that they have mentioned? One thing is there is a temporary residence in the destination location. Means from country A to country B, so a person should stay for some time, temporary what? Stay in the destination location. Then there is a possibility of multiple entries into the destination country. I mean like in the destination country he can go multiple times also. So this is the second. There is a possibility, there is a freedom of movement between country of origin and country of destination during the period of residence. मतलब जिस दौरान the person is residing, so there should be freedom of movement also from country A to country B. So this is third condition. Then the fourth, there is a legal right to stay in the destination country. Fourth, and there is a protection of migrants' rights. And if there is a healthy demand of temporary labor in the destination country. मतलब 5 से 6 they have mentioned criteria. कि मतलब it should not happen कि from country A person is fleeing to country B because of atrocities, this thing. So that will not be considered to be part of circular migration. That will be considered part of asylum seekers or let's say refugee seekers and all. But the thing is in this case, movement is free. Destination country is allowing the person to legally reside over there. Their rights are being protected. So this is the thing. Okay. So in this article they have talked about the conditions that fulfill the conditionality of circular migration. They talk about the reasons also, what is circular migration, and they have talked about in this article that why circular migration is a balancing act in international economic order. Why it is a balancing act? They say it is a balancing act because the destination country may have huge resources, but they do not have, let's say, people, less skilled people, and where they seek lesser wages. So because of this particular thing, the people from the originating country can go and fill those gaps. So in the destination country, right, so their demand is fulfilled, demand of people who can work, that is fulfilled. And from the origin country also, the requirement of remittance is fulfilled, because a person who is going to go and reside there, that person is also going to remit money to the original country. So this is the thing. But the thing is, in this article they have also mentioned about some issues that arise out of circular migration. So people say that those people in the destination country, so people are concerned about influx of migrants from other countries. So the thing is so in this article they say that the government of the destination country means where people are migrating. So they say the government of destination country can make policies, it can make laws, and they can inform its citizens that those people who are migrating over here, they are not going to permanently settle over here. They are going to go back. So there will not be any population related problems. Okay. So these things they have mentioned, and in this article they have also mentioned about another thing. What? Circular migration within India, like inside country also. Okay. So they have talked about circular migration within India. How it happens? It happens when there is interstate travel. Okay, when there is interstate travel or movement. So generally what happens, let's say there is a person from state 1, he moves to state 2, from state 1 he moves to state 2 for job purposes. Then he comes back to state 1 whenever he wants. Again he may go to state 2, again he may come back. So in case of India, we have seen this kind of tendency from rural to urban migration. Okay, rural to urban migration. Why do people move from rural area to urban area? Because in rural area they are doing seasonal works. Let's say they are employed in some kind of farming activities, so that is seasonal work. After they have done their harvesting, so generally they are left with some months where they do not have any work, so they prefer to go to some other states and they do some kind of manual work over there. So in this article they have mentioned about that people, if they do manual work in their own state, so they are paid relatively less. If they move to other states, for example capital city of India, Delhi, or if they move to some metropolitan cities like Chennai or like Bengaluru and all, so these people will be paid little higher. However, in this article they have also talked about rights of the migrant workers. They have talked about that their rights should be protected, and one of the state of Kerala, it has come up with some kind of social security measure, insurance for the migrant workers. Okay, so that way they have mentioned. So in this article they have mentioned about these things, and some people have written articles on this. Okay, so name of the articles are also mentioned. Okay, over here, circular migration and precarity, perspectives from rural Bihar. Okay, so this is one article. There are multiple articles in this. Okay, so that's the thing.
Sir, one thing. Sir, they have stated that how women get more autonomy and decision-making power when in the family due to the absence of male workers in the family.
Okay.
Sir, don't you think when you talk about migration, there is a concept that feminization of agriculture is there?
Yeah, it is happening, feminization of agriculture. And generally in agriculture, every person of the household participates, every person, be it male members, female members, in agriculture they participate in there. But if male members are migrating outside, so there is feminization of agriculture, because like women start participating in more in agricultural practices. That's the thing. Yeah, this is the case. Yeah.
Sir, I don't think they get more autonomy and freedom to make choices.
They do.
How, sir?
For some time. If the male member is not there, who is going to take the decision related to household? The female members are going to take decision.
Huh. When it comes to like outside the walls of the houses, sir, how can I put it?
No, generally when male members are there, they will be participating in household decision making, they will be participating outside also. If male members are not there, women are going to replace the decision making capacity of the male members. That's the thing. It is because of the absence of the male members. It's not perfectly shifting. And however, these migrant people, if they are moving to another state, so they have lesser political say, they have lesser socio-economic, let's say, presence in the other states also. In this article, they have mentioned that thing also, that migrant workers have very less say in the political sphere, they have very less say in the, let's say, like, other spheres of, economic activity. So they are paid very minutely in those states where they are migrating. Okay, so they have mentioned, and they have given the example of COVID-19 also, that during COVID-19 huge number of people started migrating back to their own villages, their own cities, like that. Okay, so that's the thing. Then this is another article. It says EWS ruling may help case for breaching 50% quota ceiling. So arguments employed by the Supreme Court in its majority verdict to uphold 10% economically weaker section quota for poorest of the poor among forward caste can paradoxically become a simultaneous for backward classes to seek reservation over and above 50% limit. So the thing is, recently the Supreme Court of India has upheld So it was looking into the EWS quota related thing. People have challenged this in the court of law, and the Supreme Court of India has upheld this particular provision that we can provide 10% reservation to people from economically weaker section, even if they are coming from what? They are coming from upper caste families. Okay, they are coming from, let's say, like like upper caste families. So in this article they have said, like, this can paradoxically become stimulus for backward classes to seek reservation over and above. Means, like, using this particular thing, now backward classes, okay, backward class people may also seek additional reservation. For example, this 10% EWS quota is given to economically weaker section. Generally it is to give protection to the people from upper classes of the society. Upper classes means, like, this religious denomination. But they say, like, since this has been upheld by the Supreme Court of India, now people from backward classes will seek additional what? Reservation. So in this article they have mentioned that the EWS judgment has excluded the poorest of the poor among the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes from the ambit of quota. Yeah, because SCs have a separate reservation, STs have a separate reservation, and backward classes under OBC, they have a separate reservation. So the Supreme Court of India has given a ruling that, like, this 10% will be from people from upper caste. Okay, so this is the thing. But in this article they say, since the Supreme Court has given this particular thing to upper caste economically weaker section, so the backward classes will also seek additional thing. Okay, so in this article they have mentioned this thing. They have mentioned about Indira Sahni judgment also. Okay, so in the Indira Sahni judgment, the Supreme Court of India has earlier placed a limit that there should be only 50% ceiling on reservation. However, this thing is being breached by this EWS quota ruling. Okay, so in this article they have mentioned this.
So what is the argument forwarded by the Supreme Court?
Supreme Court, I mean, like, Supreme Court has heard both the parties, and one of the parties says ki haan, these ST people, SC people, they already have reservation. OBC people, they already have reservation. Why they should be included as part of EWS? Supreme Court of India has agreed to it. They said ki haan, it is already the case. So
like they have reversed their judgment, like they have reached the 50% ceiling limit.
हाँ.
So sir, what is the argument put forward by the Supreme Court in
So,
reaching that 50% limit?
Okay, what is the argument that the Supreme Court of India has given?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In his lead opinion to the majority, so they have mentioned, concluded that 50% ceiling limit, though held attached to the constitutional requirement, was neither inflexible nor inviolable for all times to come. मतलब दे सेट कि जो हमने पहले वो किया है वो ऐसा नहीं कि वो फ्लेक्सिबल नहीं था, ऐसा भी नहीं कि वो वायलेबल नहीं था, मतलब इनवायलेबल नहीं था. तो दे हैव वायलेटेड दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. दे से कि वो जो है, मतलब इट वाज our decision, but it was not inflexible. देखो, the Supreme Court of India can reverse its own decision. They can interpret the same matter in a different way in the different cases. So it is this authority is also there with the Supreme Court.
Yes.
That's the thing. Now we have another topic. It says ICMR project to accelerate cancer screening measures treatment at district level. Okay. ICMR stands for Indian Council of Medical Research. Okay, so Indian Council of Medical Research, what it has done, it has, let's say, initiated a project, and this project will help in screening cancer. Screening means diagnosis of cancer. Okay, diagnosis means कि identify करना कि किसको cancer है नहीं है, and it is going to be beneficial at the district level. Okay, so the thing is like, so in this article they have mentioned this. They have mentioned about one particular government scheme also. So I'll mention that scheme. So according to the Global Cancer Observatory projection, however, India is expected to witness a substantial increase in the cancer cases between 2020 and 40. They have mentioned about a government program also in this article. Okay, so matlab like the Indian Council of Medical Research has initiated a project for accelerating what? The screening of the COVID-19. Okay. Asha workers. I mean, like, so the accredited social health activists. I mean, these are the people who are working at the grassroots level. They reach out to the patients, they counsel them, they provide them information. If needed, they take those patients to the hospitals also. If needed, they provide them help in their own home as well. So these accredited social health activists, so they have a potential and they have done a lot of work, okay, in this area. So this is the thing. So that's all for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead.
Sir, is there any difference between
Thank you so much, Vijay Lal, for writing your comment. So I will get it, let's say, answered in the comment section itself.